Hey everyone, welcome back. So this week, as you can see, for those of you streaming or watching on YouTube, I have my wife Jen here with me today because we're going to be talking about a topic that I actually get asked a lot about, and I thought I'd bring in my wife's expertise around this, and that is when people are starting to make they're starting to gain an awareness around the circadian world, how to implement sunlight, the importance of that, how to change their indoor light environment, how to get rid of Wi-Fi, why to do that, why that's important to health. It can bring up tension and resistance in partnership and relationship and at home in the family. And this can be a tricky area to navigate. My wife is a psychotherapist, and so I wanted to bring her in here today to offer a holistic perspective that is, you know, you can't get somebody to do something if they don't want to, if they're not ready to. You can't just tell them, hey, this is what we're doing, and if they resist you, then it creates a lot of tension. So I'm bringing Jen in here today to have a chat about how couples can navigate this area of their life and of their relationship with more balance, awareness, connection, and so forth. So thanks for being here with us.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics. And
Yeah.
we were chatting about it when we were having breakfast a couple days ago, and as Heather often does, she's like, "We should do a podcast about this," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, let's do it." Like, you got excited about it.
Yeah, I got excited because it's a question that I get asked so frequently, and it really involves a pretty in-depth answer. It's not just, I get asked this through email and on the Quantum Biology Collective, and I can give some perspective there, but I wanted to bring in Jen for her personal professional opinion, but also it deserves a long conversation. And this is something that we've navigated in our relationship, partnership, marriage as well. And so
We can talk about our experience.
exactly, we want to
Yeah.
bring in our firsthand experience here with you all. So why don't you give a little introduction about what you do, and for those of you who might be new to you, and I know we've done a few podcasts together here, but maybe there's some new listeners. So
New listeners.
tell us a little bit about you.
Well, a little bit about me is that I am a psychotherapist and I work largely with couples and also with women navigating relationship challenges. So I like to work with both populations, and I'm also an astrologer, and I do a lot of like couples readings and help people understand their relational dynamics through the lens of astrology. And Heather and I are both starting to offer healing retreats on our property and on our farm starting in March. So people can come to the property. You can book a weekend retreat for yourself or for your couple and experience both of our work together, which is an incredibly powerful duo. You can get psychotherapy or astrology with me, and you can do homeopathy and nutrition work and a lot of food stuff with Heather. Like as you guys know, if you listen to Heather's podcast, right? We have a cow, we have chickens, like we have so much amazing food on this property, and that's also, I think, such an amazing part of the in-person retreat experience. So
yeah, that's fun for me too, because then I get to cook food and share that food with you all who come and join us. And I think a lot of time today when we hear the word psychotherapy, we can be like, whoa, that's, hardcore. I'm really getting into my feelings, or
it sounds so like professional.
Yeah.
Like psychotherapy.
It does, right?
Which I kind of dig it, kind of like that.
Sure. But I think as the episode goes on today, you'll find that Jen has a very different approach to therapy than a lot of other psychotherapists, which is refreshing and connected and nourishing, and something that I've watched you do and that we've navigate it as a couple is that you're always rooting for the couple. You're always like, how can we make this work? Not like, how can we break up? And sometimes that's necessary, right? But you're always like, how can we make this work? What needs to happen to, you know, keep this couple going, which, you know, I think is a really rare thing.
Yeah, and I think especially today, especially in like maybe I'll say new age like spiritual circles, there's a real emphasis on empowering women, which yes, like obviously I'm all for empowering women, but oftentimes that comes at the expense of the relationship. So it's like I'm a woman and I can either be free and independent and empowered and single, or I can be in a relationship and kind of bogged down, my wings are clipped, I can't fly, you know, they're stealing my partner's stealing my freedom and my essence. And so I really want to push against that narrative because I think it's very anti-relational. And most of us, I'm going to generalize here, as women are really seeking connection and really seeking relationality. And so to find a way for us to both feel free and empowered and also related and connected is really what my work is about. And is really why I am pro relationship, because when we have women who are single, and I'm not saying for all women, because being single and being on your own can be healing and generative and necessary and amazing and rich. But what I'm also saying is that a lot of times when women are single, there is a loneliness, right? And a yearning for an intimacy and a depth of connection. So all of that long-windedness to say I'm really pro helping people stay in relationships, because especially in long-term situations, there's usually a lot of buy-in and investment in time and love and resources and children and all the things that go into that. So it really is worth our while to see if we can restore the relationship to a sense of health and satisfaction and well-being, because ultimately our relationships inform the quality of our lives.
Yeah. I think you know, this is in a little bit of an aside, but I think it's important because a lot of um, men or women, especially who's seeking like some kind of growth, they say, oh, I thrive and I do really well when I'm single and by myself. But it's like, cool, but how can we do that in partnership as well? Because I think there's this dichotomy, like we think we have to have one or the other, or, you know, I know you could speak well to that as well.
Yeah, and there's certain things about being single that are easier, right? You don't have to check in with somebody else and be like, how did that affect you? You know, I don't have to consider another person when I'm on my own, which is
Right.
a lot of fucking freedom, right? It's like, woo, I can do whatever I want, essentially.
Yeah.
But when you're in partnership, I think as many of us know, there's a lot of consideration and checking in and communication, and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of desire.
Yeah.
And so it is a bit more, I don't want to use the word work, but it takes more energy to sustain that.
I'm gonna say it's worth it.
You're gonna say it's worth
I
it?
think it is. I'm gonna say it's worth
That's
it.
exactly right. You want to have a payoff for it, because
Yeah.
if you're putting in the work and the time and the energy, you want to feel like, oh yeah, this intimacy, this connection, this deepening of love, this partnership, this shared doing life together feels like it's ultimately worth it for me. This friendship,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. So anyway,
Anywho,
so right now I am currently accepting new homeopathic clients as well as ancestral diet clients, and I have a really exciting retreat coming up this June 28th through 30th on the farm here, where I'm going to be teaching a master class on the ancestral health certification course, and you can learn more about that on my site. HeatharShepard.com. What about you? Where are you at with clients and stuff? I know you were on a sabbatical for a while.
yeah, I just want to say something about people coming to the farm for your classes, because last summer Heather did her first retreat on the farm.
Oh, so great.
It was so cool to have like 6 or 7 women come.
Yeah.
And I don't, something happened on the property where it like initiated the property, and it was like a threshold that we all walked through together, like our first in-person retreat, and
Yeah.
it was really powerful.
Yeah, it was great. We made food, we went for hikes. Of course, we learned homeopathy and had some really great deep healing work together. But man, it was a blast. I'm excited to start doing that more this summer.
Yeah, it was really special.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you? Where are you at with your work?
So I am now reopening my private practice for individuals and couples again. So I'm now accepting new clients. And you can go to my website, jenantill.com, and email me and talk to me about, setting up a free consult so we can see if we're a good fit together.
Okay, I know you, this is the last thing I'm gonna say before we deep dive into the quantum relationship topic.
Mhm.
Um, Jen's an amazing astrologer. I know some people may like, oh my God, it's woo woo and like what? No, it's not actually. It's so spot on, and she is such a good reader of the chart. And it's not like, oh, you're gonna die at 10 o'clock on, January 7th, 2028. It's like, she really weaves in how to make your chart like this asset, this fuel, this source of inspiration and vision for one's life. And honestly, okay, this might be a little biased, but
You can be biased.
okay,
That's
thanks.
fine. You're
But
married to me.
okay, cool. Well, honestly though, every year for my birthday, or I'm like, wow, things feel a little weird right now. Babe, will you look at my chart? And we pull it up and she's like, oh, blah 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 is transiting blah blah blah. And this is like gonna be going on for blah blah blah. So, you may want to do this or that right now. And it's really insightful. I think she's an amazing astrologer as well as a therapist, like honestly. But I just wanted to share that with you all.
Thanks,
Because
babe.
yeah, we talk a lot about the sky and the sun here, and I think oftentimes we just focus on the sun and we forget about the sun, the moons, the moon, the stars, and that realm, which is also so powerful, has such a big impact.
What I think is really interesting and unique about our couple, if I can just like interject this for a second,
All right,
is
interject
that,
it.
as you know, Heather is the sun, right? Heather is the sun. She is bright. She is sunlight RX. She is vibrant. Look at her smile. Like, I mean, it's the sun. And I feel very lunar. Like I am
Yeah,
the
that's
moon,
true
and I am
though.
the night, and I am the
All the feelings.
quiet, and all of the feelings, and all of the depth, and all of the psyche. So
That's interesting. I never thought about that.
I just want to throw that in there.
You're smart, baby. All right. Anyway, okay, let's segue here into the quantum world and the relationship world and how to marry these two, because there is so much conflict that I have witnessed come up in my clients. We've had our own relationship struggles. Jen can't see very well, and when I put on red lights at night and she trips over something,
So frustrating.
he's like, damn it, and
I want to turn on all the bright lights.
right, which we don't even have, so it's not even an option.
So this is me with a headlamp on, walking around the house at night, right? Like trying to see things with a headlamp. But yeah, okay. I think we can get more into our experience.
We can. So, but this is a huge point of conflict, tension, fighting, and disconnect in relationships, I've found. And we want to talk about today, how do we make this a source of actual reconnection, uniting, a different type of marrying, and so forth.
Right. So it doesn't feel like you're choosing your health or you're choosing your relationship, but you can actually have both and learn how to work with both together.
That's where things, that's where the stuckness comes. I find it's like, no, I can either have the relationship or I can have Ethernet. So, how can you have both? So, let's start with an example maybe, and I think it'll
Well, I think when Heather and I were talking about this at breakfast the other morning, what we were saying is like, it's, okay, so one partner is, let's say, going to Heather and working with her and getting all excited, right? I'm gonna put Ethernet in the house, I'm gonna
Oh,
put
yeah.
red lights in the house,
Yeah.
there's no more Wi-Fi, which means we can't use more than one device, right? We're turning our phones off, we're putting them in airplane mode. These are a lot of changes to implement, right? Oh, and I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna get the sun and I'm going to sit outside when it's cold and you're going to come with me and I want our children to do it and right. It's like this wave of change and this wave of newness that I think your clients and other people who are doing this are feeling very passionate about, right?
Right.
So we have to understand the context that this happens in, which is people aren't feeling well and they find answers and solutions that help them feel better. And
Mhm.
so they're feeling passionate and they're feeling afraid. I think it's
Yep.
fair to say that if they don't do those things, they're not going to be well. So that's a lot of fear to introduce to this new lifestyle, right?
And I'm also going to say there is some validity to that. If I didn't go outside and see the sun, I wouldn't feel as well.
Right. So I think we have to understand the fear that can be underneath this and the urgency in clients underneath this,
Mhm.
because that's what they're bringing to their partner, saying like, I have to do these things or I'm not going to be okay.
Right.
And that's just to put that into context, right? That's an intense energy to bring to your partner.
Yeah. Who has no awareness? Maybe they're not listening to our podcast. They're not
They're not working
listening.
with you.
They're not
They're
working with
not,
me. They're just doing their thing. They're not ready. Maybe you mention it to them. They're like, "That's fun, honey. That sounds really nice." You
yeah,
know.
like you do you,
Yeah.
except this has to involve the whole household, which is the tricky piece to this,
Right.
right? It's not just I do me, it's actually our whole household has to change.
Yeah.
So Heather and I were talking about it's kind of like you're introducing a new religion into your family,
Hmm.
right? All of a sudden, you're going out and you're like, you know what? I'm going to convert to Judaism. And that means I'm introducing all of these new rituals into my family, right? We're going to take the Sabbath, we're going to do Shabbat, we're going to like, do all these different kinds of prayers and creation of meals.
No more pork.
No more pork. You're introducing all these new belief systems, ideas, values, traditions, rituals, right? So I just want us to understand that it's a lot for the individual to take on, and then it's a lot to introduce into the family system,
Yeah.
right? Because we're working with a family system here, not just an individual.
Okay.
Okay.
So then what do we do? If somebody comes to me, I give them a whole diet plan. They get a whole Sunlight RX plan.
Mhm.
They've got it down. Boom, they're ready to go. They're married or in a partnership, and the other partner isn't engaged in that work or isn't ready or whatever the reason may be. What do we do? How do we go from there? Because now, Shelly is going to her husband saying, "Hey, babe, I need, that's it. No more no more Wi-Fi. We're getting Ethernet. Like, we're throwing our cell phones away and we're going outside at sunrise starting at 6 a.m. And you're gonna,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna get in the sunrise."
Yeah. So you're going to be met probably with a lot of resistance to that. First and foremost, right? Your partner's going to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. So what I want us to do first is the client who is introducing these changes, right?
We're gonna call her Shelly.
Okay, let's call her Shelly. Well, let's call her Shelly. So Shelly needs to approach her partner from a place of vulnerability, which looks like this.
Okay.
What's her partner's name? Let's make it a queer couple.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
Let's change it up a little bit.
Shelly and Amanda.
Okay, Shelly and Amanda. So Shelly's going to go to Amanda and say, "Hey, my love, as you know, I've been really struggling with my health, right? I've been really not feeling well. I've been feeling so tired and I've had this like chronic pain that I've been dealing with. And I mean, like you've been watching me. I've been like lethargic. I haven't been able to like take our kids to school. And I found this practitioner who I think can really help me move in a different direction so I can have more energy for our family, more energy for our relationship. I could actually have sex again one day, like mind blowing, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm really afraid is a really great phrase. I'm really afraid that these changes that I'm going to need to implement are going to really rock the boat in our relationship and in our family. And I'm scared that if I don't do them, I'm not going to feel better. And I really, really want you to be on board with me in these new changes that I'm going to implement. And I'm wondering if you can listen to what they are. Are you willing? Are you open to being on this journey with me? Because I want you to be included in it and involved in it.
So usually people say, this is this is what I'm doing. You know, you're either in or you're out,
Yeah.
ultimatum,
Yeah,
you know.
because the fear is driving the show.
Yeah.
Right? They're so afraid that if they don't do these things, they're not going to be well. So we just need to remember that, right? It's not that you're a horrible, demanding, controlling, dictatorial person, right? It's that there's a lot of fear underneath that. So we first have to open the doorway into your partnership by asking permission, by requesting and getting their buy-in to be on board with you, because ultimately they care about your well-being and the well-being of your family. And you can also pose it as, are you willing to try this with me?
So I think that's something we've really worked on in our relationship, is being like having vulnerable conversations versus saying, this is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, sometimes you need to say, this is what I need. But I mean, when you can approach it from this place, it tends to go a lot better.
Especially when you're asking your partner to do something with you, or you need their buy-in, right? You need their buy-in to do this with you. You need their buy-in to turn the Wi-Fi off at night, right? So that has to be a request and a conversation and a negotiation with them. It cannot be a demand, because one, you can't control your partner's behavior, and two, that's really not how we get what we want when we have to get someone else's buy-in. So we have to start negotiation. And I think negotiation is a really crucial word for this whole conversation. We have to think about it as a negotiation.
And that may mean that you have to negotiate with them as well around this situation. Let's say Amanda, um, you know, likes to check her email at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before you go there, can I say one thing?
Here she goes. She's on one. This is good. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say Amanda doesn't give her consent to Shelly.
Oh, she's like, that's ridiculous. I don't
Yeah.
see how that's going to help.
Yeah.
I've shelled out so much money already for your healing. How is this simple thing with sunlight and Wi-Fi really going to do anything?
Yeah,
I
who is
mean,
this person? Who's Heathar Shepard? Like, who is this? Like, I mean, I don't know this person. Is she a doctor?
this
Right?
is just another one of your shenanigans. Where's the science?
Yeah, let's say you don't get the buy-in,
Okay, that's
right?
good.
So there's resistance. There's like, no, Shelly, no, I'm not on board with you. Okay, then we have bigger relational problems,
Okay.
right? If you're approaching your partner with vulnerability and they are able to see that you're in pain, right? Meaning like, I don't feel good and I want to feel better and I need your help here. If that doesn't touch your partner in some way, if they can't feel empathy for you there, then we have bigger relational problems.
If they're like, oh my God, Shelly, like, I'm, wow, I'm so sorry. I know you've been in a lot of pain. That was really, you know, brave of you to approach me like this. And I know those are really huge changes, especially in the culture today.
And they're like, I do see that you've been tired. I do know that has been hard for us, right? Like, I do want you to get better. Like,
yeah,
you do need support, right? That's the road that we kind of want this to go down.
that's the ideal scenario. Like, you're met with a yes, let's continue this conversation. But you're saying what happens is if and when you're met with a no, this is ridiculous. I'm not giving any more money. These changes are I don't see how they pertain to health. My health is fine. I have the Wi-Fi on. I can sleep fine at night. I don't have chronic fatigue.
Yep.
So now what?
Oof, that made me feel like I wanted to like go all the way away and never talk to you ever again.
Well,
right?
yeah, sure.
That's what that feels like.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So that's a shaming response. That's a belittling response. That's a really entitled response. that Heather's sampling for us, right? And that's ultimately not taking in your partner. And behind that lies a lot of resentment.
Like deep resentment, like before this situation even happened, underneath the root, we talk about root cause all the time here, there's some fucking there's these roots into
There's a lot of hurt
resentment
that has never been repaired, which is why your partner is unwilling to be with you in this experience. And I'm not saying that to like demonize your couple or make anyone wrong or bad, but resentment is why we stop giving to our partner. And resentment happens, this is really important, I think. Resentment happens when we cross our own boundaries enough times that we're now doing things that are really out of alignment for what feels right for us, for the sake of our partner, quote unquote. And we no longer have anything left to give.
Okay, so basically, the well has gone dry. And when we're met with resentment, that's been building. So
Yeah.
no matter if it's turn off the Wi-Fi or I want to quit my job, there could be, you know, both situations.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what the topic is.
Resentment makes us unwilling to give to our partner because this is how I would think about it. I've given so much to you already that I haven't actually wanted to give. So I've crossed my own boundaries enough times that I'm really fed up and now I'm just protecting myself.
See how there's some deeper root issues here than just like, oh, my husband's an asshole because he won't turn off the Wi-Fi. It's like, wait a
Right.
minute, this has been building for years.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to unpack to get to, hey, let's get on board for the Wi-Fi.
Right. And you're right in saying like it could be anything, right? We're asking to turn the Wi-Fi off at night, but it could be anything, right? It could be like, hey, can you pick the kids up from school on Wednesdays and Fridays? And your partner's like, no, fuck you, right? That's resentment, right? That's built up resentment. We're just talking about a specific situation with the Wi-Fi because that's what your clients are dealing with.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to understand, first of all, we have to teach both partners in the couple how to have better boundaries, which means how to do things that actually feel like a yes to them versus continually crossing over things that feel like a no to them for the good of the relationship. Because that's really how we start to wall off to our partners. And there is so much that goes into why we are crossing our own boundaries, right? That's really the work of couples therapy, right? Is teaching each couple to have their needs, have their wants, have their boundaries, and really lessen resentment in the couple. So that when you do ask for things, there's a lot more willingness to give to your partner. Yeah. So usually we have to go back in time in the couple and be like, okay, where did we lose the sense of giving to one another? Where did that get lost, right? Where did we stop doing that? Because we all remember in the beginning of our relationships, right? Where it's just like, oh my God, I would give anything to this person. And like, I say yes, and it feels good. And my heart is open, right? That's why falling in love feels so good because there's no resentment, right?
It hasn't been built yet.
No, no. So we want to go back to a place where we're doing a lot less that builds resentment, which means we have better boundaries and we're going back to those sources where the resentment started to build and we're doing reparative work there.
I feel like maybe at this point, people are like, how do I even, I mean, it's like, where do you even begin?
Yeah, so let's go back to what you were starting to talk about, because even if we're not eradicating resentment in the relationship, we can start with negotiation. We can
Around the
start
Wi-Fi,
there.
cell phone use, screen time.
Yeah.
More time outside.
Yeah.
Build me a deck, honey, so I can do my sunlight RX. Right? You know?
Okay, so because we can't eradicate resentment, and that takes time, and we want that to take time because that means that there's lasting repair that happens. We start with negotiation, which means, my friends, that you are most likely not going to get everything that you want in this first go around with your partner. Okay.
In this first go around was the key words. Okay. So, and it doesn't
Feel the
mean,
fear.
okay. And also, we have to understand that health comes from turning off Wi-Fi and being able to be connected in your relationship.
Good point.
Okay?
Mhm.
It's like you sever the relationship
Yeah.
and you get no Wi-Fi. That's one aspect of your health, but we're all here to be related.
Yeah.
Okay? We're all here to be related with one another, with our couple, etc.
It's
So
why we need a balance. So if we're
yeah,
going black and white, right? If we're like, it's all my health, it's all of this, just like you're saying,
yeah,
that's black and white thinking. And really, the relational way of doing this and the sustainable way of doing this is a lot more nuanced. Sorry, I had to say that word.
hate it.
And a lot more in the middle, in between an extreme. So if we're going to an extreme, most likely there's a lot of fear underneath that.
And in the health world, there's a lot of extremes.
Mhm.
We know fad diets, cold therapy for an hour, just these we think we have to do extreme things in order to meet our health goals.
Mhm.
And as I warned and continue to warn, when you see an extreme, it's a red flag. Any extreme is a red flag. Okay?
It's dogmatic.
It's dogmatic.
Mhm.
And when we get into dogma, there's disconnect. We create a disconnect.
Yeah.
From ourselves and from other people.
And you can feel it in yourself, right?
And a hierarchy.
You can feel the rigidity, you can feel the self-righteousness, you can feel the I'm rightness, and we all know that that kills intimacy and relationality, right?
Yeah.
It does nothing to build intimacy and connection.
Right. So how do we do this? Because if somebody's like, well, I know that UVB light is good for me, and
Mhm.
it's like I know I feel better when that light is present and I need to
Mhm.
get out in it.
Mhm.
And my husband goes out, or partner, with sunscreen on, or just stays inside and watches NFL game day all week. How do we work with this?
Well,
Because we know this is good.
yeah. So I'm gonna go to like an old AA saying for this piece.
Oh boy, I'm nervous because this is, go ahead.
Which this piece of AA I think is really useful in that we can only control ourselves.
We can only control
We
ourselves.
can only
That is
control
the useful
ourselves.
part.
Yeah. So if you're like, I need UVB light, and I know this, and my husband wants to sit inside in the Wi-Fi and watch football on Sundays, you go out and you get that light. You go get it, and you let go of the attachment to the outcome of what your partner does with their Sunday. You can't control it, and it's not yours to control. You actually have to lay that down and say, actually, I know what I need. This is cool. And maybe I can come back and share my experience with my partner and be like, hey, you know what? I had a really awesome 2 hours out in the forest. And I laid on the ground and I grounded and I got sunlight and it was awesome. And how was your Sunday? And
See, there's the part. You have to also inquire about what they're doing, even though you would rather have them in the forest or outside in the sun with you.
Mhm.
You have to ask them how NFL game day is going. There has to be a two-way conversation.
Yeah, and they might be like, "Oh my god, I loved the game. It was so much fun. Ricky came over and we watched it and we had some beers and like it was amazing, right?" Like, and you both enjoyed yourselves, and you might be going inside, "Oh my god, you got so much blue light and EMFs and you didn't get
Gluten.
oh my god, yeah, I mean gluten and alcohol, I mean they should be going crazy inside, right?" But there is really a coming back to self there and saying, I can only control what I can control. And I actually know that these certain things are also nourishing for my partner, right? Like getting social time and watching sports. I mean, great, wonderful.
Yeah.
So in that instance, you're really detaching from the choices that your partner is making because they're not directly hurting you or violating you in any way.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I think we should go back to Shelley and Amanda.
In negotiation.
Yes,
Yeah.
because Shelley has been or Amanda has been a strong no.
Uh-huh.
And so then what do we do to navigate this situation when there's a strong no in place?
Yeah.
How does somebody move forward from there, or what are some of the next steps? that say Shelly can take from there, because I'm sure Shelly's very triggered.
Mhm,
Amanda's triggered.
mhm.
So what do we do?
So this is where I would implement negotiation.
This is the negotiation.
So Shelly's gonna be like, okay, I hear you that, I mean, this is best case scenario, guys. Okay, I'm giving you an example of what like an awesome conversation would look like first. Shelly would say, okay, I see you're really like resistant here. What's coming up for you, right? What do you, this is advanced couples work. What's coming up for you as I like ask you that?
This is see how deep this is, because we don't communicate with our partners.
Mhm.
We only communicate about logistical things. Did you order this? Did the kids get here?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
what
Mhm.
time's the soccer practice?
Mhm.
It's not like,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute, that's a no. What's coming up for you?
Right. So we're gonna slow it down, right?
I
And
love
be
that.
like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Instead of Shelly going, okay, fine, fuck you then, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna slow it down, and Shelly's gonna try to hold herself enough to say, whoa, I see that you're really defended. What's coming up for you? I want to understand. And that is a really important phrase to use. Okay. It's really helpful in deactivating
Hmm.
defended partners, right? I want to understand why you're getting so, why you're pushing back against me so hard.
Right.
Tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So Shelly, you have to, for all you Shellys out there who like now feel threatened because you're not going to get your health needs met
Mhm,
because your partner is not willing to meet you.
mhm.
Okay. This is where we have to take a pause, forget the Wi-Fi for a minute. Okay.
Come
Step
back
that
to
aside.
relationality.
Yes, and then go into the reconnect. Okay, all right, what's coming up here? Because this honestly has nothing to do with Wi-Fi.
Right,
It really
right.
doesn't.
Exactly.
Okay.
So Amanda's gonna be like, well, I just feel like you're just springing all this on me. Like, what? I don't even like. Oh, I'm just supposed to change my life now. Just like I'm just supposed to like be a different person now. Like, what do you mean no Wi-Fi, right? And
Yeah.
then Shelly's gonna be like, oh, okay, like keep going. Like, what else, right? Like, keep going. That's a really good phrase to also use. Tell me more,
Yeah.
right? Like, how am I supposed to work without Wi-Fi? And like,
Right.
well, what do you mean, right? Just
Right.
panic.
Just panic. The other person also doesn't understand, like, oh, they think that Ethernet's going to cost a lot of money. Who knows what goes through their head? All these things go through their head. How much is this going to cost me? I'm not going to be able to do what I was doing with my devices. All on top of all of the
Mhm.
resentment that has built over the years. And then we get to this situation.
So this is not a time to get into a logistical conversation,
Right. It's not
right?
like, right.
This is not a time for Shelly to be like, listen, the Ethernet is so fast, and like I promise you that like you'll love it so much more. Like, it's not time for that.
Yeah.
It's just time to listen to Amanda, because when you're introducing something new into your partnership, you actually have a lot of the power. Okay. I want to talk about this for a minute.
Now I'm scared.
Because let's say you have knowledge and information, which is power, okay? And you're introducing change into the dynamic of the relationship.
Mhm.
When we introduce change, we have to do it slowly and relationally, because it ripples through the relationship, and it really does change everything in the relationship. If you are the one that comes to your partner and asks them to change, you have to understand that most likely the other person is going to need time to integrate that. They're going to need to feel heard about their resistances and hesitations and fears and worries about that,
Yeah.
because you are the initiator. You are the initiator, which means there is some form of I want to say like power and clarity that comes from that, because you know what you want,
Mhm.
right? You
Yep.
know what you want and you know what you need. And the other person is like, wait, I actually don't know now. Now
Mm,
I'm shaken,
mm,
right? And now I need to kind of be held in this place while I kind of get my bearings again.
mhm. And I think that's a good point that we need to slow this down and have a deeper conversation with our partner because especially if we want this to be successful, if we
Mhm.
want to stay in the relationship, if we want to stay connected in the relationship, to get to the underlying feelings about, okay, why, excuse me, is this such an issue for Amanda? Why is this such a struggle?
Mhm.
And know that the information that you have about, okay, sunlight's healing, Wi-Fi's shitty, blue light's
Mhm.
toxic,
Mhm.
it's going to give me diabetes, I'm going to get fat, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you have that information. That's valid. You know that.
Mhm.
And even if certain um, uh, uh, changes to help you step into that lifestyle don't happen immediately, there are things that you can do, just like Jen was saying. Amanda watched the football game, Shelly went out to the forest and did her sunlight.
Mhm.
There are things that you can do
Mhm.
in the interim and while you're navigating this, while you're still talking it out.
Yeah, and something that I'm thinking of while you're saying that is like, hmm, how can you also make this a joint effort of learning this information together? Where you're
Right.
like, would you be willing to, okay, Amanda, would you be willing to listen to a podcast with me while we cook dinner tonight?
Yes.
Right? This is like, it's a 45-minute podcast. Would you be willing to listen to this podcast with me? Or while we drive into town?
Or while you're driving to work.
Right. But I also think there's something to doing it together
Got it.
where it's
You're
like,
bringing in the couple.
we're doing it together. I'm with you. I want you to be in this with me because so often it can feel like a separated event, right?
Mhm.
I go to Heather, I see her on my own. Or would you be willing to come to a session with Heather with me? Because I want you to see like what I share with her about my body. Because this is another point. So often in our couple, we're doing work independently of one another, right? We're going to individual therapy, we're going to individual health sessions, and our couple doesn't see the work that we're doing,
Mhm.
except for maybe the little bits that we bring back and share with them.
Right.
But to do work in front of your partner, whether it's therapy or health work, is really powerful.
It is.
And when we've done that in therapy together, it opens you to a different kind of empathy and compassion to your partner than you would have if you just did that individually.
True.
So there's something about doing this together and bringing them into your journey with you of saying, yeah, yeah, there's this YouTube video I really want to watch and I want to watch it with you. That's the vulnerable part,
Yes.
right? I want to watch it with you tonight on the couch. Can you hold me while we watch the video? Like I love when we like are close and we spoon together on the couch and like we watch this video together. Like, would you do that with me? I mean,
Yes.
that's hard to turn down.
I think it is. I
Mhm.
would agree. But if there's, I want to bring in another side, okay?
Mhm.
Because I've been asked this question. Like maybe your partner doesn't like me. I'm too cantankerous. I swear too much.
Mhm.
I'm queer. They don't like that. Whatever it may be.
Mhm.
Then there are other people who share this knowledge and wisdom. Find somebody that your partner will resonate with and can hear, whoever that may be, and listen to that. Like maybe it's not me, maybe it's not somebody you resonate with. Maybe they can't get on board with the woo woo people. Maybe they're too out there for them. Find somebody who talks about more of the science. Find somebody who find a meeting place.
Yeah,
That's also
you're meeting them where they're at,
yeah.
right?
Find
Mhm.
someone who they resonate with and they'll take that in. Maybe they love working out and going to the gym. Find somebody like that who's also saying, "Oh, sunlight's good, blue light's
Mhm.
bad,"
Mhm.
etc. And then, have them get on board that way. That's another thing I would throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's creative, right? Because it's not about the information, it's about the relationship that they have with the person who's giving them the information.
Yeah,
Again, people love Heather because not because of everything you say or the information that you have, but because of you and the relationship that they feel with you.
I'm an anarchist.
But they connect with you. They love you, right? It's about the relationship.
Yeah, it's about how you feel when you're with that person, or when
Right,
you hear that person, or when you see that person, and
right,
what it stimulates in you.
right.
Not everybody's going to resonate with everyone, so maybe your partner doesn't resonate with me. I don't give a shit about that. Just give them someone who they do resonate with. Maybe that will be helpful.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good suggestion. It's a practical, really important suggestion.
cool. Okay.
So let's circle back to negotiation.
Yeah, we keep going there, huh?
Well, because we're starting to negotiate with Shelly and Amanda,
Yeah.
in terms of, will you listen to this with me? Will you start to connect to this information with me? Um, and let's say Amanda starts to open up, right? And she's like, yeah, okay, let's talk.
Yeah.
Okay, like let's chat about this,
Yeah.
right? But she's not willing to go all the way in, but she's willing to open the conversation up and like hear Shelly.
Yep.
Then we really want to talk about what the negotiation is, because remember, we're saying don't go black and white. It's not all or nothing, right? So we want to start with small negotiations, like, are you willing to turn the Wi-Fi off at night?
That's a good start.
And let's say Amanda's like, well, what if I need to check my email at 3 a.m.?
She might say that.
Then you're like, great. So can you turn the Wi-Fi on at 3 a.m. until 3:30 and check your email and then turn it off again? And
That's
Amanda's like,
better.
okay.
It's a good start. Okay. Listen, if you're Shelly, take it. Take it as a small win. It doesn't mean that's the end point. It doesn't mean like,
Mhm.
oh, fuck. Now for the rest of my life, I have to deal with this Wi Fi thing during the day. We're starting. This is a starting place.
Yeah. We're starting with negotiations and we're starting with the ask back and forth. And that's really what mm, knowing what our own boundaries are is about. It's about negotiation, right? So then let's say, oh, the light bulbs in the house, right? Are you willing to take all the light bulbs in our house and put them into amber or red light bulbs? And Amanda's like, well, I need a bulb to read, okay? Can you give me that, right?
Wait a minute. We just had thousands of dollars of LED lights put in our home. We can't even put in a regular light bulb. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? These are bad.
Mhm.
Huh?
Mhm.
Obama got rid of incandescents.
Yeah.
Come on, they have to be good. LEDs have to be better. What are you talking about?
So
Now
then
what?
then Shelly says, "Oh my gosh, you're right. We just spent so much money on all of this like lighting in our house and it's so beautiful. And I really appreciate you like making our home beautiful. Like that's really sexy. That's awesome. You got to
Mm.
throw in the sexy because it's just a win every time." And then Shelly can say, "You know, I know we spent a lot of money on this, and what about we just start with our bedroom?
Negotiation.
What about we just put 2 lamps in our bedroom so that at night I can really, like, let my body relax and just have 2 red bulbs in the bedroom, and we can just start there."
That's a good negotiation.
And Amanda's like,
Fine.
"Okay." Right? We're going back and forth here, so each person has power and each person has a say, right?
Yeah, you can't. This isn't a dictator. The dictatorship approach is never going to work, and it may end in divorce. Honestly,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
And that's not ultimately what people want in a relationship, usually.
yeah. I think negotiation has been a really like healing word for me because it gives both people access to power.
Mm.
I can negotiate, you can negotiate, and then we can come to an agreement back and forth, right?
So you see how even like a little 3-day retreat at the farm here for your couple or you as an individual can really hash into some of this stuff
Yeah,
to help support your couple and your own personal healing in deeper ways.
yeah.
This is, why I love Jack Cruz. I
Mhm.
mean, there's a lot of things I love about him, and he
He got
definitely.
divorced.
Exactly. Do you think this is a part of this world that is
Mm,
deficient, atrophied,
mhm.
missing.
It's not seen as important or
It's not
valuable.
seen as important.
Yeah,
It's not valued.
yeah.
Okay. And,
Our option is not red light or divorce. That's not the option.
red light or
The
divorce.
option is not Ethernet
That's the
or
name of this
divorce.
podcast, Red Light or Divorce.
Oh, yeah, we can be much more creative than this.
Yeah, but the problem stems from, and this is something that Jen and I have done a lot of work on, and believe me, our couple is nowhere near perfect, okay? So please don't get that like
No.
vibe from this. We've done a lot of work. We have an amazing therapist.
Mhm.
Um,
Who we've been working with for like 4 years.
right? Jen has amazing relational couples knowledge. I have amazing, I sense knowledge about healing and sunlight and so forth.
Do you sense?
Well, come on. And so, this we've been able to find a meeting place. It hasn't always been easy.
Mhm.
Um, and we've had to learn how
Mm.
to, you see how Jen is bringing these things up and like, oh, you have to negotiate and this is how you do it. And she's giving you examples. Now you're going to be sometimes, even in our relationship, there's like, okay, I need a timeout, like, because I'm going to yell and throw things.
Mhm.
And so, we sometimes have to take timeouts before hashing into things. It doesn't always look like this perfect. When Jen and I fight,
Mm.
it's not always like this. But
No, 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 no.
we've repaired, it's more and more like this now than it was when we met 12, 13 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's like been a huge place of growth in our relationship. It's why we're still together.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, you have to learn these
you have to
skills.
learn these
You don't
skills.
we don't just know them, like, I mean,
Right.
none of us know how to do this, right? So,
Yeah.
it's why I've dedicated a large part of my life to learning relational skills, which, by the way, I that's what therapy is, right? We can call
Yeah.
it psychotherapy and be, like, nervous about that term, but really it's just about how to be in better relationship with yourself and with other people. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
So, this is practice,
It is.
and we're giving you best case examples. And Heather and I are not always able to do this, and you will not always be able to do this. And that's where you give yourself compassion and understanding and grace.
Yeah.
And that's where we do the reparative work, which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is a whole other conversation. But you always come back. Even if you take space, you fight, you come back and try again. Try the conversation again in a negotiation, empathetic, connected way.
And in a really good way to phrase that is asking, like, would you be willing to?
Would you be
Would
willing
you be
to?
willing to? Because then your partner, oh, guess who has the power? Now it's up to Heather, right? Let me see. Let me check in. Would I be willing to do that? I don't know, right? Then they get to think about it and decide and make choice, which always brings us back to our power, which is a really important aspect of this dynamic.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to, can I talk about one more thing?
One more thing. Sure.
Is that because I knew we told people we would give an example in our
Oh,
relationship.
yeah. Go
And
for it. What are you thinking?
one thing that's really come up for me as we've implemented all these changes, number one, I fucking love Ethernet because it's so fast. So I just want to say that. Like, I have zero problem with Ethernet. I love it. Um, I want to say the biggest thing for me has been sometimes when other people come over to our house and there's no lighting at night, I feel like, oh
She
God.
always tells them that I secretly want to be Amish, like ha 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 to try to like
Right, like ease the social tension because people are like, what the fuck? Like,
what
why
am
can't
I
I
eating
see
here? What is
anything? Like,
this?
there's no lighting. Like, I feel some sense of like embarrassment about that, mostly when other people come over. And I feel outside of the culture and I
Mhm.
feel like, oh my God, yet another thing that makes us so different from everyone else because Heather and I we're different than a lot of people, right? Not only are we like one of the only queer couples around here, but there's a lot of things that make us different from the collective. And sometimes I like relish in that and love that. And I'm like, yes, this is us. And I love being unique. And sometimes I feel really like, oh, like I wish we could be more like everybody else. And I wish like, people could come over and they were just like so comfortable in our house and like they could see at night. Like that would be so awesome. Right. So I have some like pain or disconnect happen for me around that. So some of the negotiations that we've made are like, babe, I need to put another lamp here and another lamp here. And I need to put more light here and more light here. And I want to put Christmas lights up, but they're going to be red Christmas lights. And that's our compromise,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, and the lamp here and the lamp there, it's red or amber.
There just needs to be more of them.
That's
right?
okay. That's okay. Like, sure, sure,
Mhm.
we can do that.
So I guess the point is like you're never stuck.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh no, it has to be like this and there's no solution, right? It's like that's when we know we need more negotiation.
Yeah.
That's when we know we need to ask and we need to shift something,
Yeah.
right? Oh, I'm feeling sad that there's not enough light in here. That's an easy solution.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. It's not going to break our marriage.
Mhm.
Right? I don't have to walk around being resentful, like fucking Heather, no lights. I can't see anything. It's like, whoa, come back to my power, right? We just need more lighting. We just need more lamps. And we did that last night. We put another lamp in the kitchen
With a red light bulb.
and it was life changing. So,
Solutions.
resentment and feeling powerless means that we need to make another choice
Mm,
and we need to step into another negotiation with our partner.
I love that. I think this is good. Maybe we should do a follow-up sometime on the next steps. This was a good intro to this topic. It's a huge source of conflict, tension,
Mhm.
disconnect in marriages and partnerships and
Mhm.
relationships.
Mhm.
And both people often feel powerless and
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. And that's when we need help. It's really hard to sometimes see our way out of that and to see like there is no solution.
Yeah.
This is a wall, it's insurmountable, we can't get past it. And I just want to really also normalize that place in relationship because all of us get to that point. It doesn't matter what it's around,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh my God, there's no way we can work through this. They're never gonna be on board. Like, ah. So that's just the crux and the context for a threshold in your relationship to walk through and to move through for big change.
Yeah. I love that.
Okay.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, yeah, anytime. So if you are considering coming for a stay here on our farm, we have a beautiful little cabin casita.
We do.
It's very
We do.
cozy.
Yeah.
You can learn more about that. I have a page on my site, heathershepard.com. We have our farm site where you could also check that out, ojoconejo.com, ojoconejo.com.
Nice spelling.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode and that if you share it with your partner, spouse, that, this maybe opens up some new growth edges for you all and deeper connection ultimately.
Do it while you're spooning on the couch together. Listen together.
We'll see you next week.